Hello everyone, McGee here with another draft battle analysis video and recap. This time looking at my week 6 match in the PGF against LukeTime and his final Flareons. As it stands, I am 4-1 in the league after getting myself on a nice little win streak. 4 straight games, getting some solid victories along the way with some 4-0s and some 5-0s to go around. I'm looking to continue that win streak and then kind of assert myself as one of the front runners in the league. As I mentioned in the last video, Luke is the final undefeated team in our division. He stands at 5-0. So if I can get a win here, it kind of just asserts myself as a contender for this season going forward, which is something I'm aiming to do, looking to secure my first draft league championship. So before we get into this match, we're going to take a look at the options he had available to him and the pieces I brought to best address it. So, he's got this Mew Clefable core. I've run into it before. I played it recently enough in my XPDLA league. I don't think the opponent was piloting it the best, so I was able to overcome it without too much trouble. But I know the danger of that core, and so I'm really, really concerned going into the match that they just have so much versatility to them. I'm not going to be able to predict what they do, and it's going to really throw off my game and break me. Just really nervous about that. Salamence, I'm not super worried about Salamence. Salamence has a really rough time breaking through Rotom, breaking through Florges. It just isn't really in a great position to come in and exert a lot of pressure. That said, Salamence really makes it difficult for me to bring Chestnut because alongside the Mew and the Clefable, there's just another piece that can break the Chestnut on his top tier. So it just puts me in a tough spot to want to bring that, which is unfortunate because Chestnut matches up against most of the rest of the team pretty well. He's got the Empoleon, not concerned about its offensive pressure, its ability to be difficult to break and set hazards and throw toxic around and roar if it wants to roar can be some concerns. Makes it difficult to defog around it too, just because I can set off Defiant and it can do some things. So I'm aware of its gimmicky utility and some of the things it might try to do, but I'm not overly concerned about its offensive pressure if I don't give it momentum, which I'm not intending to do. Palossand, not really expecting that to come. It has a really bad matchup against Rotom, really bad matchup against Greninja, doesn't really like the matchup against Landorus all that well, so I don't really expect to see it. But it can be bulky if it wants to be. It can try to go for some kind of calm mindsets or something like that, but I'm not expecting anything wild from it. Galvantula, if it comes, it's setting webs. If it's setting webs, I can deal with it with Florges, no problem. So if Galvantula shows up, I'm going to leave Florges on the expectation that it leads as well, and I can do a lot with that. Thwacky, I need to have given more credit to coming because, as I mentioned before, if I'm able to bring my Chestnut safely in this match, Thwacky doesn't concern me whatsoever. Thwacky just has no way to deal with Chestnut. But I don't have a good window to bring Chestnut here because there's just too many pieces that force it out off the field immediately. So there's room for Thwacky to be a problem if I don't bring Chestnut, and I'm not going to. So there's room for Thwacky to be a problem against me. Pangoro, only concerned about it for its ability to click gunk shot or bullet punch. You know, as some of you may know, Pangoro was kind of the bane of my season in XPDLA. The fighting scrappy combination was just too much for my last team to overcome. Didn't have any good resists. I now have Florges, so I shut down its stab options, which is really, really important for me. But I am still vulnerable if it clicks the right coverage move and it's running a band set. I can't really deal with that very well. Salazzle, not concerned about its offensive pressure. I can wall that out more or less with Umbreon and other pieces. I'm mostly concerned about its ability to sub toxic because I have a hard time dealing with that. Obviously, Greninja could run something like Water Shuriken as a way to get around it, but I know it's not something that's going to be easy to deal with, so I'm concerned if it shows up. Chinchino, also, something I wouldn't be scared of if I could bring Chestnut. Chestnut just sits in front of it with a Rocky Helmet and just breaks it from trying to click one of its stab options, like Tail Slap or any of the other skill link boosted moves. So because I can't really bring Chestnut here, I'm actually really worried about the offensive pressure Chinchino can cause. So that's going to be something I'm watching for in this match. And then Mega Blastoise, really solid Mega. Again, if I had my Mon that I wanted to have, it would have handled it mostly well. Would have protected Umbreon a little better too because it can't click Aura Sphere on the Umbreon without risk of the bulletproof on Chestnut
making that an immune, and then Chestnut gets on the field for free and kind of forces it out. So I'm aware of some of the offensive pressure it can create. It If you look at its 12-point cost, you can see that it's not allowed to use Shell Smash. So that does help me protect against some of the more offensive potent sweep sets. But it's something I'll be wary of throughout this match. So going into my team, Mega Mawile has reason to want to come again, so I'm going to bring it again. The max attack, adamant nature. I'm speed invested at 163. What am I trying to creep? I believe I'm creeping past Empoleon, creeping Pangoro a little bit, but I can't out creep it because it has a. If it wants to go max speed, it can't outpace me, and I can't really deal with that. I'm also out creeping uninvested Clefable, or a little invested in Clefable. I think Clefable has to have like 24 or more speed EVs to outpace me, so I'm hoping I can outpace it. And then Play Rough, Knock Off, Sucker Punch, Swords Dance. I opt not to go with Iron Head because Iron Head's really only specifically for Clefable, whereas Play Rough has utility for a couple of things. Sucker Punch has value to kind of deal with some of his sweepers if they're going and causing a lot of pressure, especially the Mew. If the Mew turns into a sweeper set, and I'm not in a position to deal with that. Knockoff just has a way to kind of take away items, and I think that's more helpful. I debated between Ironhead, Swords Dance, or substitute with that last slot. I opted for Swords Dance in the end because I figured if I actually was able to successfully Swords Dance in this game and Pangoro wasn't there to cause trouble and Salazo was an offensive not subset, I kind of just win with Sucker Punch. A lot of things get OHKO'd by Sucker Punch at that point, and if they're going to try to do anything sneaky, they're going to get OHKO'd by Play Rough or Knock Off. So I saw myself in a position to sweep if I was able to click a Swords Dance safely. So I thought I'd bring him. Landorus kind of back to his reliable choice scarf set. It's really hard to not want to use that a lot, but there's a lot of situations for it to be good. Knockoff just to take away items. U-turn from momentum because momentum feeds really nicely into Mega Mawile. And then Edgequake just to kind of round it out. Earthquake won't OHKO max defense Clefable. Or not OHKO, it won't 2-hit KO reliably max defense Clefable. So I'm aware that Clefable could wall it out if it's fully healthy or it's in a spot to come in on the time on it, or if he brings Thwacky and I can't actually get full powered earthquakes because of grassy terrain. So I'm aware of that, but it's something I'm going to try my best to work around. Stone Edge just does a lot to Salamence. He doesn't want to deal with that. And that's really all it's for is the Salamence to do pressure. And then U-turn just gives me momentum. I'm not too worried about setting weakness policies off on Mew because I have Umbreon who I'll get to. And so I'm not worried about what that might create. And then some HP investment, some special defense investment as well. And then the speed 245, I believe, gets me past Salazzle, which I think is the fastest member of his team. So after a Scarf boost, I'm faster than Salazzle. The Umbreon, max defense really here because I need to address a couple of things, namely Salamence if it tries to go crazy, Pangoro, because if Pangoro really only is scary if it's choice locked on a choice band, anything else I'm fine managing. Chinchino can cause some concerns. I actually can't reliably get out of 2-hit KO range from Chinchino clicking Tail Slap with a band. And because of my speed tiers, I go from 100 on the Entei to 122 on the Greninja, and Chinchino's at 115. Chinchino can actually really, really safely run adamant ability here, which is a problem because that puts me in range to be somewhat reliably 2-hit KO'd by Tail Slap, and I'm going to have to work around that. But that's something I'm contesting with this in this match. I didn't have a good spot to stick a Rocky Helmet on because, again, I couldn't bring Chestnut, who would have really just shut that down effectively. And then Foul Play, Wish, Protect, Heal Bell. I do have concerns about subset Salazzle, and so I need to have Protect and I need to have Wish. I need to have Heal Bell just to try to manage that. Rotom Wash, really weirdly speed or EV invested, and I want to say it's all very, very strategic, but it really isn't. And I'll kind of go over what I was trying to do with it. Defog just to deal with hazards. Volt Switch for momentum because I like that. Hydro Pump pretty much just to deal with a couple of things like Palo Sand and Salazzle, but that's largely it. And then Discharge to fish for paralysis because I figure if I'm in a spot where Clefable is becoming a problem, if I can at least paralyze it, then that really opens up my game some. Max HP investment because this is really just meant to be a bulky Rotom. A little bit of defensive investment. 120, I think, is where I need it to be in a reliable 3-hit KO range from Dark Pulse on the Mega Blastoise, and so that's kind of where I'm going. I don't want to creep speed. I can outspeed Mega Blastoise if I want to. I don't think Mega Blastoise is going to run full speed because I can reliably outspeed it with Rotom, and so I think he's only going to throw some in there or go for some bulk. And so I'm more or less just trying to guess how much speed he wants to invest on his Mega Blastoise and make sure I creep past that. But there's nothing specific to it. I don't, and this is something I do regret because I could have done it with some of my bonus EVs, namely these 20 or these 64. I don't outspeed max speed Pangoro. I didn't run that calc, and I regret not doing that because I'm in a spot now where if Jolly max speed Pangoro shows up, it's going to outpace my Rotom Wash when otherwise I would outspeed it. So that's a situation I'm aware of, and I'm a little concerned about after the fact. Greninja, choice specs, really easy set to run, really easy set to be effective with. Outspeeds the Salazzle because that's the fastest Mon. Scald, U-turn, Ice Beam, Dark Pulse, really simple, straightforward set. Ice Beam comes this week over Water Shuriken because I need a way to pressure Salamence immediately, and I can't put all my marbles on addressing Salazzle even if I think Water Shuriken would be helpful. I do need Scald to fish for burns and do good amounts of damage, namely to things like Pangoro. If I can burn Pangoro, then Pangoro is not a concern anymore. And then finally, Florges, kind of a weird set. I'll explain what I'm going for here. Pretty much max HP. I'm throwing a little bit of speed investment in there because there's a couple of things that are nearby in the speed ranges I'm trying to be kind of wary of. Clefable, if it decides to run offensive. Pangoro, if it goes really, really speedy. I want to try to speed creep it, but this doesn't really speed creep max speed Pangoro, and so I'm aware that could outpace me if it tries to. And so that's something I'm being aware of in this match as well. Um, but Moonblast, just because it does a lot of good damage, he actually barely has a resist. Really, just Empoleon and Salazzle are his resists for Moonblast. Empoleon may or may not come. Empoleon doesn't really 1v1 Florges very well, just doesn't want to run Flash Cannon all that much week to week. It's not that great of a move. Empoleon doesn't have that great of an attack stat or special attack stat, so Empoleon isn't really carrying that a lot of the time when it shows up. Synthesis to get my own health back, and then Calm Mind and Psychic. So I'm really defensive invested because I still need to be able to address the Pangoro as best as possible. Obviously, it has moves to break it. If it gets on the field and clicks Gunk Shot correctly and I come in with Florges, then obviously Florges is going to withstand the banded set from that. But it takes care of its stabs just fine, and then it heals really reliably as Pangoro is forced out. Again, that little speed creep investment. And then 48 special attack. So after a Calm Mind, Psychic very reliably one hit KOs max HP Salazzle. And so if a subset Salazzle shows up, those are almost always max HP. And so if Florges can pretty reliably one hit KO it, and Florges normally baits in Salazzle pretty well, and I know this, then Florges is in a spot to bait in the Salazzle on it while it clicks Calm Mind and then clicks Psychic, and the Salazzle is gone and out of play. And if the Salazzle's out of play, then Florges is just in a really good spot to pressure and maybe even sweep the game. So kind of an offensive Florges in the sense that it can set up and kind of go nuts, but it's still serving a really crucial defensive role coming into the match. So that's the team. That's what I assembled. We'll get into this match because it is a little longer in the turn count. Nothing wild though. Oh, let me switch sides. Uh, all right. Am I on regular speed? Perfect. So I'm going to lead Rotom. I like the Rotom lead. Palossand doesn't show up, which means I can Volt Switch very freely for momentum. If he misleads on the Rotom, then he's forced to switch out immediately, and obviously the Blastoise is a mislead for the Rotom. He doesn't know what kind of Rotom set I'm running. He doesn't want to have his Blastoise eat tons of damage on turn one. Really free opportunity for me to click Volt Switch and just gain momentum. Or actually, I'm sorry, I go for the Discharge. Because I can try to fish for paralysis, and I know I'm going to need that. I suspect Clefable is going to come in, or Mew's going to come in. Mew Synchronized doesn't affect Rotom with paralysis, so that doesn't bother me. I click Discharge again, trying to fish for it. Don't get it successfully. Thwackey comes in. I mentioned that because I couldn't bring Chestnut, Thwackey is now a real concern for my team. I don't have a good switch in. I know it's going to be a band. If Thwackey shows up, it's going to be a band. I know that's what its item is. And so I'm pretty much without a switch in, which is really concerning. I go Landorus just to confirm what I already know. And it clicks Woodhammer, and it does 73%. Takes a decent amount of chip, but I get annihilated by that. I'm going to click U-turn here because I know it's forced to switch out, or U-turn's just going to break it. I get to come in with Mawile, really helpful for me. I'm going to click Play Rough just because I don't know what's going to come in. I don't think it would be Salazzle. And so Mew comes in. Mew takes a bunch of damage, but I know from that damage amount that the Mew is bulky. That's a bulky Mew because I should have done more to that. Will-O-Wisps me. Not super concerning just because I have Heal Bell to get it fixed. And so it's just more of a nuisance that I'm not able to break this Mew anymore. I'm going to switch out. Mew's going to heal. Mew's really just there to kind of wall out the Mega Mawile. But now Mega Mawile is fine and healthy again, so nothing really lost on that. I'm able to break its item though, so now I can kind of deal with that more effectively. The Pangoro comes out. I know it's not going to click Gunk Shot here. It's way too risky of a play. Clicks Earthquake. Does a lot of damage to Florges. Forces Florges to click Synthesis here, which I know Salazzle's going to come in here. As soon as Florges out survives the earthquake damage. And I know from the earthquake damage that it's banned. I expected banned and Pangoro to show up, so that's not a concern. It's there though. And so now I need to not be too wild with Florges because I need Florges to be able to address that throughout the game. But I get my health back. Salazzle comes in, but I'm not able to get a calm mind in here, so I don't feel comfortable 1v1ing this, because if it's specs or if it's not offensive Salazzle, it's just going to do too much damage to Florges, and I'm not going to be able to one-hit KO it, so I don't like that situation. I come in with Umbreon. It subs, so that confirms what I expected it to be. I'm going to get a very, very, very lucky foul play here, where my foul play is going to break the sub. I calculated this before the game. We discussed it post game, and I miscalculated it. That in my analysis beforehand, I expected foul play to reliably break a sub on a Salazzle, but I forgot to put a negative attack nature on it, and I forgot to zero IV it, and so I was doing more damage with foul play than I expected I was doing. And so the Salazzle shouldn't have even had that sub break. We discussed how it was. Salazzle was even a defensive nature too. I think it's a bold nature. So minus attack plus defense. And then my foul play should have maxed out around like 24.9%. But we think what happened was that he didn't invest his HP EVs correctly. And so it actually ended up being enough to break the sub, even though I max rolled it and broke it. So all of this to say he didn't expect the sub to break. I expected the sub to break. So I was actually not surprised at this time in the game that the sub broke. I expected my calc was right. He was surprised because that he thought his calc was wrong. And so we were both in a weird spot with how we were looking at this situation. I'm going to heal bell here because I know I need to deal with toxic and not let it cause too much trouble to me. I expect I can keep foul playing and keep breaking the subs. And so when I foul play here and I don't break this sub, I'm surprised he expected as much, but he's thrown off because he assumed he was immune from the foul play breaking my subs. And so I'm going to heal bell here. He's going to actually retreat because I think he just gets thrown off by that. And that's going to be really significant because I'm not in a great position to address that kind of Salazzle long term with my Umbreon. I only have 8 heal bells total, and I've already used 2 of them. I'm about to use a third. Salazzle has 16 toxics. It's a poison type, so it can't miss trying to go for toxic. And so it's just in a really, really good position to toxic spam me, and I can't outpace it with my heal bells. I'll run out of PP. So I'm really, really worried about that Salazzle hitting the field. But I think because he got thrown off by that calc, it kind of scared him out. Pangoro comes in. Pangoro clicks Ice Punch. I know it's banded, so I'm really able to scout with this Umbreon really well. Clefable comes back in. I'm going to hard call and switch to Rotom. I expected he was going to come back in with Salazzle on that turn, maybe Mew, and so I felt like Rotom was a good answer for both of them. I'm going to discharge. I'm still trying to fish for that paralysis on this Clefable because once that Clefable is paralyzed, I'm in a much better position to deal with it. Still not getting it though. Really, really unfortunate. I was hoped I would. I spent all of my discharge burns in that one game where Entei got a bunch of crits and a bunch of burns. So unfortunate. It's hurting me that I can't get the paralysis at 30% rate. Grookey's going to come back in, cause me trouble because I know I can't come in with Landorus now. I'm going to do a hard call here. Somewhat risky. It pans out. I'm going to Volt Switch just to confirm what it's trying to do. Tells me it's going to click Woodhammer, so it tells me I only have one switch in, which is Mega Mawile. It's the only thing that's going to be able to survive this Woodhammer. It does, and it survives it in good enough range that I can't be KO'd again. I'm surprised he doesn't try for it again to fish for a high roll. I think he's in a good position to do it. I think he should have. Even if he doesn't KO me, he breaks my Mawile with his Grookey or his Thwackey. I'm sorry, not his Grookey, but his Thwackey. And then my Mega Mawile has a hard time being effective the rest of this game because it has almost no HP to work with. Whereas he just loses Thwacky, and that's not a huge cost to him. Um, anyway, Mew comes in. I do 49%. I expect it's going to go for Will-O-Wisp again. So I'm just going to fleet a Florges or Soft Boils. This is the window I was looking for. If we look at his team, he really isn't in a great spot to deal with his Florges now. I know I can click Calm Mind on this turn. I know Mew's not going to waste time clicking Will-O-Wisp. This Mew is very specifically there to address Mega Mawile. And so I'm just going to click Calm Mind because I expect Salazzle is going to come back in. And it does. Really great situation for me. Really, really good spot because I told you where that calc was with Psychic. It's going to try to Toxic me. I don't care about that because I can fix it. I Psychic. I get the one-hit KO. It's gone and it's out of play. Really huge deal for me. Really kind of gets that Salazzle out of play. I think he could have outright won the game if he just kept trying to 1v1 the Umbreon. But I think because that foul play broke the sub the first time, he just got really unsure about his calcs, and so he backed off of that situation. I've run into this before in the past where someone's in a spot to toxic stall me behind a sub and they just don't follow through. I think they get thrown off by something, and so I was really really fortunate that he backed off of that situation. It really threw off his game, and then I was able to get Salazzle off the field and out of play. Really opens up my game. I get my heal bell in. Pangoro can't threaten my Umbreon, which I know because I can protect Scout. I know it's banded, so I know what it's trying to do. It clicks close combat, so I know I can come in for free with Florges now, which I do. Thwacky comes back. Thwacky's obviously an enormous concern. I'm going to stay in just because I think that's the right call here. I'm very defensive. I don't run the calc. I maybe should have run the calc on what my odds were of surviving a banded Woodhammer. I survive it by 7%, which is huge. Obviously, Florges is kind of limited for its effectiveness the rest of this game, but now Florges is out of, or Thwacky's out of play. Florges has picked up two really crucial KOs for me because Thwacky was just going to break me. Salazzle was just going to break me. Those are the two pieces that were just outright breaking me that I had no answers for. And with them out of play, I'm just in a much better position to kind of create momentum for my team. I stay in on Scald. I maybe could have tried to fish for a window to get my floor just healed, but I didn't really see a good opportunity. Maybe against Mew. Finally, my discharge gets a paralysis. And again, because I'm electric type, I don't care about the synchronize. So I have the Mew paralyzed, which opens up my Mawile's ability to now 1v1 the Mew because now Mew can't deal with it. I try to come in with Mega Mawile. Really good call on his part. He predicts that I'm going to try to do that. Burns it again. Again, I can fix this. It just takes away momentum because now I'm forced to come in with Umbreon to do so. Pangoro comes in. Really surprised Pangoro doesn't stay. I didn't have a good switch out. I don't even know what I was trying to do. I think I was going to throw away Landorus there because I didn't really like my positioning. Because I'm U-turning here predictively. I didn't expect him to switch out. But I'm going to come in with Rotom. Rotom discharges for free because he has no answers to that. Or I'm going to Volt Switch to get Umbreon back in. Oh, nope, I lied. Landorus in because now it's in a range where I know Earthquake can KO it. And so I'm just going to try to click Earthquake. He protects. I think 53% is the max roll on Earthquake. And so I know it's possible. The odds are low, but it's possible. Anyway, he switches out to Mew. Really good for me because I do 38%, which means he has no switch out for Mew again. So I'm going to Earthquake for free and break the Mew. Blastoise is going to come in here. I opt to just click Earthquake because I think that's the better call. Just do a lot of damage so that he has another piece that's broken. I'm playing the numbers game at this point. I have 5, he has 3. So if I can keep creating trade-offs, I win the game. And I have a pretty healthy Greninja. Hasn't really seen any action yet, so I know I'm in a good position with healthy pieces to work with. So I'm going to click Earthquake to pretty much break the Blastoise. I'm going to come back in with Rotom. I'm going to click Volt Switch because that's the safe option for me. Create momentum because I need to get my Mawile fixed. So I'm going to come in with Umbreon to fix that. I wish I could exert pressure on this. I know it's going to wish heal, but I couldn't really do much more about it. He comes back in with Blastoise. I think it was a mistake not healing his Umbreon. I think he should have just focused on getting that healthy. Not his Umbreon, his Clefable. I think he should have made his Clefable healthy before he prioritized getting his Mega Blastoise. I can't pressure it with my Umbreon, so he could have reliably healed his Clefable and then tried to do it again. But I think what he was concerned about was that I was going to wish and then feed it right into Mega Mawile because Clefable can't pressure the Mega Mawile at all. It only has Moonblast. So I think he was just trying to get Blastoise on the field because then I can't switch in with Mega Mawile. I'm going to come with Rotom instead because Rotom's safer. And then I'm going to get that Wish back. More discharge fishing just to try to get the paralysis here. I've been trying all game to get it. He teleports again. I think that's a mistake. I don't do enough damage. He's been 1v1 by the Rotom enough this game to know that I don't do enough damage with discharge. I think he should have tried to sit there and click wish, because he could have wish protected and gotten his health back and been in a much better position. He doesn't. I think that was just a missed opportunity to create momentum for himself. I'm going to come in with my Umbreon. I don't really need it anymore in this match. I know I don't. So if I need to do a trade off, Umbreon's a really good piece to trade off. Something I'm not paying attention to, and it could have been super impactful, is among the abilities Pangoro also has, because Pangoro has 3 great abilities, is Mold Breaker. I'm so hyper familiarized with Scrappy that I'm just really, really worried about the Scrappy ability, or I think maybe it's Iron Fist because he's brought an Ice Punch and maybe he's just trying to maximize his damage for the Landorus. Anyway, I'm going to make a really risky decision here. I'm going to flee back to Rotom. And if he had been Mold Breaker, I think my Rotom is probably more or less dead. I might have survived. I need to relook at that calc. I had defense investment. I had pretty much max HP investment, so I may have survived one Earthquake, but it was just a really needlessly risky play for me, so I do regret that decision. Clefable comes back in. I'm going to click Discharge here. Does a lot of damage, doesn't quite get the KO. He's going to protect to try to get his health back. I discharge again. I know it's in range to KO here, but I know Hydro Pump is just going to guarantee it. So I'm going to click Hydro Pump, gets the KO very safely. I outspeed this Pangoro. I'm going to keep preserving my Rotom because Rotom beats Blastoise right straight up. And then I can easily throw away Umbreon here. So I'm going to Volt Switch out, come back in with Umbreon. Easy to close combat. And then now because of that drop, I know Rotom Wash can get the KO with Discharge. And so I'm just going to click Discharge here because if Blastoise comes in, Blastoise risks getting what just happened, which is paralyzed. So I get to Discharge again freely. Blastoise doesn't have an answer. Aurasphere is the best he has. And then I'm going to Volt Switch here because I know that it doesn't have a move to deal with my Greninja. His only priority move that Pangoro has access to is Bullet Punch, which is not going to one-hit KO Greninja. I know it's not Scarf. Doesn't even matter if it's Scarf. It still wouldn't outspeed Greninja. That's how slow Pangoro is. So I can really safely click Scald here to get the last kill and clean up the game. But yeah, that's my game against LukeTime. I now move up to 5-1. I unseat the final undefeated team in our division. For a brief moment, I stand atop the leaderboard, but I'm only up there by a differential of 1. And there are 2 different 4-1 teams that can very easily surpass that mark this week. So I don't expect to actually last at that position. But considering I started 0-1 -4 to begin the season, I'm very happy with the rebound I've gotten. 5 straight wins, a positive 15 differential, something like that. So really solid performances pretty much every week. I have been able to win by 3-0 or greater, I think, in 4 of the 5 matches. And the one I didn't was just because Mawile missed his play rough on a Zarude that it would have one hit KO'd. So I ended up losing 2 more pieces and it turned into a 2-0. Still, really happy with how the season is developing now. Getting a lot of great utility out of a lot of my pieces. I'm looking forward to being able to bring some of my other Mons in the weeks to come. I'm really hoping I can find a window for Reggie Drago to do something. Same with Trapinch. Uh, and then I'm getting the continued amount of utility I like to get out of my Mons. Rotom Wash is proving to be a really great defensive water that doesn't conflict at all with my Greninja, which has been really nice. Obviously, their grass shared weakness was really impactful this week because Thwackey would have just demolished them. But thankfully, that didn't happen. I was able to withstand the Thwackey for this matchup. And then I was able to show off Florges' offensive potential just a little bit. That 112 special attack stat is nothing to be ignored, especially after a Calm Mind. So I was really happy Florges got to push itself a little bit offensively and pick up a couple of KOs to get himself on the board or get herself on the board. Umbreon just continues to be a beast defensively, and I'm really happy with what Umbreon has been able to do for me this season. It didn't really pick up any KOs this match. I didn't need to. Its job was to keep pieces healthy and keep wish passing, which it did a phenomenal job of doing. Really got Mawile out of trouble with those early burns, really got me out of trouble with the Salazzle Toxic Stall. So really happy with what my pieces are doing, and I'm looking to continue this momentum. So 5-1, I'll try to be 6-1 with the next video. So stay tuned.